Hello. So in the last video I was talking about rage and anger after narcissistic abuse. Um, as I said in the previous video, rage and anger are helpful up until a certain moment. It helps you to see the reality of the beast. Go no contact, destroy memorabilia, destroy books, destroy gifts, destroy photos, get rid of the person on social media. Helps you to get away from toxic friends, bad friends, because it helps you see the certain pattern of your friendships, and you start leaving friends with a similar trait of that of the narcissist. Like some friends that just like to use us. But now I'm speaking for what I've been through, what I suffered. It kind of energized me, because they say anger is an energizing emotion. But because I had nothing to do with that energy, I fell, literally fell with depression. And when I say I fell, I mean I started to, I'm not interested in getting out of bed today. So I'm gonna stay in bed, and the other day was the same. The other day was the same. And when I was not sleeping, I was crying in bed. So anger and the frustration, because I had nothing to do with that anger, meaning I couldn't take revenge, I couldn't destroy without facing consequences, external and internal. Imagine if I could kill the narcissist, would I be able to live with that in my mind? I don't think so. Anyway, when you are damaged, you figure that the damage is done and you are capable of everything. My air conditioning is destroying my throat here. Alright, so anger used to have its benefits when we were cavemen. We could use it for fighting, and then we had the fight or the flight response, and which used to be a survival and beneficial thing. But nowadays, now that we have the external parts of the brain and the rational part, not only the limbic system, which is they call it the lizard brain, we have no use for anger. And anger from friend began to be an enemy. So in the long run, anger and rage, they're gonna destroy us. And I'm not saying this to you to help, but I mean help with information, yes, but I'm not saying this to you to give advice or be preachy. It's just telling how the way things were and are still in my life. That's just the way it is, and I don't like it. You probably might not like it as well. Uh, Reality is faced hard. It's a hard thing to face. It is a hard thing to face. I discovered that. I never had that verbalized, but sometimes you grow up, you an adolescent, you fall in love, and you think love is certain things. You think life is gonna be a certain thing, but then comes a narcissist, fucks with your life, and your eyes open, and life, you have to face reality. The beginning is hard, but then it has its great benefits, which means staying in the moment, and that's good psychology, by the way. It makes us a better people and capable of living in the moment, living better, being happier people. Because then you learn that if you wait for the future, you're not gonna live in the now. If you think about the past, you're gonna suffer, feel pain. So the anger and rage only brought me pain, and the pain created depression, and depression was painful, and just pain. Okay, so coming back to the reason this video is being made is turns out I was living in pain, not getting revenge, not getting justice, getting anything. I had no use for the rage, I had no use for the anger, and there's something that we have, skills. You know, the skill of assertiveness is a skill that we not must, okay, we it's an alternative to the flight or fight response. And when we read about assertiveness and read about it, you can realize that you can be assertive with yourself, and that's what we need to be. Because, okay, I don't have what I had before, which was the love of my life, you know, or the dreams, or the money, sometimes, you know, the house, the children, my sons, my daughters, you know, just an example. So many things, so many lives and types of lives these narcissists destroy or damage. Not destroy, because if we were destroyed, we wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here looking at me, and I wouldn't be here talking to you. So we're not destroyed, and they say we are feeling pain, at least as a sign we are still here, you know, lingering. And then we gain the thing that the knowledge that staying because we are in pain, of course, comes a motivation to end the pain. We come and read a book here and there, and the book says if you stay in the moment, you're gonna manage your pain. So you stay in the moment, and the pain diminishes. You know, pay attention to what you're listening, to what you're feeling, to what you're doing in the moment. Helps you stop thinking 100% about that narcissist and the horrible things he did and said to you. And then you discover, okay, the person did this to me, they did this to me, so now what do I do with what they did to me? Do I keep punishing myself with depression? Do I keep creating or helping my own pain to have an overpowering effect on me and my life, in the time of my life? Or do I step up, be active, and do something about it? So you begin to be assertive with yourself and said, man, if I don't take care of myself, I'm gonna lose my life. So if you feel you have to, you go to therapy, you look for a therapist, do your research before meeting the therapist, make sure you like the curriculum, the therapist's photos. So easy to get information about people now. And just say, okay, I read a suicide page on the internet. It was an interesting thing that the page spoke about. It was for the suicidal person. It said, okay, you are feeling pain. You are the first one responsible to do something to diminish that pain. So, does it mean leaving the narcissist? So what are you gonna do about it? We are in pain. Doesn't mean leaving a narcissist. So let's do it. Does it mean, although you don't want it, you don't feel you're in depression? Sometimes we deny it. It doesn't mean looking for a therapist. So let's do it. Doesn't mean going for a walk with your dog so that we can make the endorphins in our body act. Doesn't mean taking some music lessons. I just read the other day that they do music therapy, and the music therapy helps with trauma and with the pain, emotional pain, PTSD, and of course CPTSD, maybe embitterment disorder, especially percussion. There's a great effect. Even the endorphins, they are released during percussion playing. That's amazing. Well, so, and that's the thing that we take for our lives. Sometimes I'm in pain and I say, well, okay, what am I gonna do about it? So, it's been one day, 2 days. I don't go for a walk with my dog. Okay, I'm gonna go out now with my dog, take a walk. So they say if we are in pain, we are responsible for doing something to help us cope with the pain. Okay, it doesn't mean taking antidepressants. Let's take it. I took it. It was very helpful because the pain is too much. It's too much. And it's hard to begin begin to do with the idea that the anger and the rage is causing us harm. But then the pain gets so much that I don't know if pain helps us see things for what they are, reality. You see the reality of your depression, of the hurt which completely cripples you and not able to have a decent conversation with your loved ones without fighting, thinking that somebody means you harm, means to hurt you with what they said, what they did. In a way, I was becoming like a narcissist, lifeless, in a war with, in a constant war, untrustworthy, not untrustworthy, untrusting of others. And you don't need a therapist to see that sometimes your intuition tells you, your inner voice tells you there's something wrong. I am losing something precious here, which is life. It's my life. If I'm having so much displeasure and unpleasant experiences, what can I do to make it at least not so painful? Not something comes from outside, like I'm doing here, talking to you, but you begin to realize, hear your own voice. Intuition is so important. Your inner child tells you, I don't like this, it's too painful. Take care of me, please. And then you start being okay. I gotta be assertive myself. I gotta do something to take care of myself. I cannot let this happen to me. As I said to you a while ago, beginning to start seeing the reality for what it is kind of hard. And sometimes you need some bad thoughts to help you move forward with the good thoughts. For example, I said, okay, the narcissist is a darkness, walking darkness. So I cannot take revenge the way I want. Okay, so now I'm gonna take revenge in another way by being a positive person, something the narcissist claimed he was, she was. Okay, she claimed she was a positive. They love to play psychologists with us, don't they? They love to give advice to us, don't they? So, you were positive? I'll show you who is positive. And then I began to say, okay, I'm gonna let my light shine again. This is how I'm gonna show you. But that's okay, just I don't want the narc to see my life. Just to help me move, okay? I'm gonna show the narcissist how bright my light can shine. Then we'll see who's the better person. That type of stuff. And that it's not completely healthy, but it helped me begin the process of diminishing the anger and the rage. At least bring it down to a manageable level, to the point that you can relate to people. You don't have this wall. You don't keep the wall. You can't have physical contact with loved ones, your mom, your father, your dad, or your sisters, brothers, grandpas, grandmas, uncles, aunts, whoever is important in their life, emotionally, as well as physically, or so that was the motivation, you know, because there was too much anger, and when the anger was putting me down, I began to say, okay, maybe I might use this energy, this anger, to energize me to start going out with the dog, which was something my therapist told me. I want you to go out with your dog, exercise, but if you find people on the street, I want you to talk to them. And I said, no way, I'm not gonna talk to people. They're gonna hurt me. I hate people, I told her, my therapist. Yes, I understand, but I want you to do it. So I started going out at night, kind of late at night, with my dog. Just for starters. I didn't want to see anybody, just to have a pleasure, And indeed, I began to have some pleasure. And you start to find pleasure where you never imagined you would find pleasure again. And then, of course, there's even at night time, there's people around, ask you about your dog, what breed it is, what's the name of the dog. Then you have this interaction, which was what my therapist wanted. And then one experience leads to another. You gain self-confidence to repeat that, because they say pleasure makes us at least comfortable to repeat that experience. And nothing is 100% pleasure. They say life is, or the events of life is kind of, who says this? Is my therapist. She says, don't count on life and being 100% sweet. It's going to be some sweet and bitter at the same time, and sometimes 60% sweet, 40 bitter, sometimes more sweet, sometimes bitterness is more is predominant. So that's why I went to therapy and said to her, okay, I liked the walk, but I hated talking to the person. Which is funny. Sometimes we think we have the black or white thinking, which comes from, I don't know, since we were children and remains in adolescence, young adulthood. Then you realize black or white thinking is kind of a pathological. It's a trap. It's a mental, psychological trap that we put ourselves into, and dangerous because it might make us depressed. We are setting ourselves up for depression with black or white thinking. And you learn that narcissists are perfect in black or white thinking. If they're perfect in some way or in something that they love to be, claim to be, they are perfect black or white thinkers. And there are so many colors and healthy thinking, so many colors and tastes, can be black and white, and all the colors, can be bitter and sweet, and you end up learning to deal with the bitterness of the experiences of everyday life again. And of course there's more pleasure than bitterness, of course. And then the rage and the anger, they start to be more manageable, because anger and rage leaves you out of control. Left me out of control. I told my therapist, I'm out of control here. I don't like this. And it's one of the things I remember very well, about rage and anger. I didn't like being out of control, fighting all the time, and crying all the time with rage, sleeping, and in therapy, talking in therapy and fighting with my therapist. And my intuition told me many times, not all the times, many times, the therapist wishes you good. The therapist wants to help you. Other times I needed help from my friends, from survivors here on YouTube. So many good people helped me in seeing that the therapist uh, wanted to just to help. Ange, you remember that episode? You helped me, and you can ask for help from other survivors here. Many of us know each other, which is amazing. So with the exercise and the increasing positive experiences, then going back to music, facing my fears. You feel so proud of yourself when you face some fear of talking to people in the streets or playing in front of many people, and nobody is hurting you like narcissist did. And you tell yourself, and then that there's a great pleasure, and in winning a psychological battle with yourself. And staying in the moment. And then the anger starts to get down to levels that are more manageable. They don't, anger and rage, they don't go away so fast. As many psychologists know, and they teach us, the action precedes the emotion. So if we want to feel better, we want to feel more in control, if we want to feel less pain, if we want to feel less depressed, we must act first. And that's the trap, because depression and anger tells you not to act. I'm not gonna act, they're gonna hurt me. I'm gonna do the things perhaps in my life again when I feel better. So that's interesting trap. Because if we wait for good feelings, they're not gonna come, and so we're not gonna move. So, as you probably might know, or read, or learned in your own therapy, the action must come first, and then the emotions, they come later. The less rage and less pain because of that rage, and more control over ourselves, then the pleasure. So going out with the dog was what gave me pleasurable experiences again, after so many unpleasant things with narcissists. So act first. So that it's interesting what we say. Okay, they've done this to us. So what are we gonna do? They don't say, okay, they did this to you. So what are you gonna feel? Isn't it funny? What are you gonna feel about it? My therapist says it's not uh, what they did to you, but what are you gonna do with what they did to you? She didn't say what are you gonna feel with what they did to you. She said what are you gonna do? And it's interesting how action is so important. Since we cannot act for revenge against narcissists, we can act to take care of ourselves, diminish that pain. Just getting rid of the pain is a big thing, because after the pain and the rage, they are diminished. After they diminish, then we can start thinking better and doing other things that will lead to more pleasure and to more control over anger and rage.